Yo, what's good, y'all? We back again. Another episode of the TD podcast. It's been a couple of weeks. Not much has changed, but you know, we got to get into it. The sports never stops. We've been slowly watching the playoff race, how the seeding is going to come down. But before I start that, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this one. It's actually it's a candle company. This man makes some of the best candles I've ever seen known to man. That Bath and Body Works shit, it ain't it. So the website is wilsoncandleco.com. Custom candles, provides anything that you need. Great customer service. Hit my boy up. Always willing to work with you. Make sure you use code VIEWSFROM6 at checkout to get that 10% discount. I'll have a link to his website in the description of this video, probably in like the pinned comments or whatever the case may be, but make sure you go check out my boy. Perfect. It's a lot of holidays still left in us right now, so go ahead and get them last second candles and do yourself a favor, because they do smell good. Alright. So the NFL is going to take a little bit longer, so we'll just start off with college first. We are here. The college playoffs has been found. They was lost, they was hiding, but they are here. The big controversy thing was Miami not making it, which was wild to me. But also we were sitting here thinking like the committee didn't have the balls to kick out Alabama, a 3-loss team who had just got their backs blown out by OU in a horrendous fashion. I mean, Bama put up 3 points. Disgusting behavior. So everybody who was a conference champion automatically got their bid in. You know, Oregon still remains undefeated. I don't know how Oregon keeps skating by these teams. I don't get it. Like every time I see an Oregon game, I'm looking like, okay, this is the game, right? Like this is the team that's gonna bring down Oregon. And man, that unlimited NIL money meme that was going around floating when training camp started. I mean, for the love of God, man. Who is going to stop Oregon? The number 1 seed took down Penn State to win the championship. First time in that conference and they win the championship. Amazing. We thought it was going to be another rematch of Ohio State and Penn State, or Ohio State and Oregon, where Oregon had to cheat to beat them by 1 point. But you know what? That's really neither here nor there. But no, because Ohio State is trash. Okay, they went into an unranked, below average Michigan team and went in there and just got the paws put on them. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching. That had to have been one of the funniest games outside of the Bama blowout from OU. That shit was up there as one of the funniest games I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it. Them motherfuckers couldn't move the ball. They couldn't get down the field. Their quarterback, Will Howard, was looking straight trash, panicking in the pocket. And it didn't make any sense to me. I'm all like, there's just no way Ohio's going to lose this game. And lo and behold, they went and lost the game anyway. So that led Oregon to beating Penn State, getting their bye. And then the SEC championship game, again, Texas, Georgia 2. And this one was a whole lot closer, a whole lot more competitive than the 15-point blowout that Georgia gave Texas in the middle of the season, or the beginning of the season. But, you know, it didn't matter. You know, Texas quarterback is suspect. He is a double agent. This man Ewers is by far the trash quarterback. Like, I've seen some pretty bad quarterbacks, but man, Longhorn fans, I don't know how they sleep at night. They lay down and they're just like, for the love of God, can Manning start? You know, put that boy out there, do something. Fucking throw me out there, throw anybody else out there. Ewers, he's one of those quarterbacks that's just like it. He reminds me of like a Jimmy G. Just hand off the ball, do anything, but when we need you to be an elite quarterback, he will remind you, yo, I'm not that guy. Like, the guy that y'all want me to be, I'm not him. This man fumbling on the 5-yard line, throwing picks when it's like, oh man, if you can just complete a couple of passes, move the ball down the field, they'll be good to go. In a game where Texas defense had Beck out there in a fucking blender to the point to where the boy got injured and couldn't even play. Like, Texas was out there dominating on the defensive end. We just needed Ewers to just be just a competent quarterback and just move the ball down the field, score, put up points. Nope. He couldn't do it. He was like, man, I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. To the point to where Beck went down and the backup quarterback came in. So the backup came in, and it's one of those situations where I'm all like, we're about to see the true freshman backup come in and lead this Georgia's team to a dub. And what did he do? You would think the veteran Ewers would be like, well, surely I'm not finna let some backup outplay me. Man, was we wrong, because the backup came in. You would think it was prime Brady in the pocket. This man was slicing and dicing the Texas defense up. They couldn't stop him. Boy decided to be part Mike Vick, started running the ball, couldn't stop him. And it was just like, man, what happened? What happened? But Texas still was getting stops, but when it got the ball back on the offensive side, yeah, bro, it was just a wrap after that. You know, but luckily, Texas still made it to the playoffs. And so they gave us the bracket. So Oregon is getting their first round bye. Them damn Sun Devils is getting their first round bye. Georgia's getting the first round bye. And Boise State's getting the first round bye. Now Boise State will play the winners of SMU and Penn State. In that game, man, honestly, I think SMU is going to pull that off. I think SMU is one of those dark horse teams right along with them Sun Devils. I think when it comes to just a team building aspect, SMU has been one of those sleeper teams that has slowly just kind of like, yo, we've been over here winning games. We're not really getting the notoriety, but we've been over here winning games too. You know, so with that, SMU versus Boise State, and I think Gentry might have a little chip on the shoulder after getting snubbed in the Heisman. So I think Boise State wins that. Then we had the Indiana versus Notre Dame. I think Indiana is just the better team. I think they will take down Notre Dame, but it doesn't matter because in the next round they would match up against Georgia. I think Georgia has probably one of the easiest kind of like walks to the Natty, for the simple fact that Georgia would then go and play. After that, they would beat Indiana, because I don't think Indiana's going to beat Georgia. Especially, it depends. Beck's supposed to be back by that time. Who knows? He has a good amount of rest. So we'll see. And I think Georgia just cruise on by and play Boise State. And Boise State, they just don't have no chance of beating Georgia. I just don't see it. I don't see a world where Boise State would it would have to be one of those games where Beck goes out there and forgets how to play quarterback. He does that pretty often, but not to the point to where like they would just lose to Boise State. But that side of the bracket is kind of real hit or miss. The real side of the bracket is over here when Tennessee goes on to play Ohio State. Now, Ohio State, honestly, I think Tennessee is going to win that game. I just do not see, I don't see the passion in Ohio State anymore, where Ohio State used to be like a very dominant team. And they started off the season pretty good, but ever since that Oregon loss, they started just having like just little hiccups here and there in their play calling. And I'm just not seeing it. I think the coach is on a hot seat. You know what? The coach is on so much of a hot seat. They could probably go all the way, win the Natty, and he'll probably still get fired. Because they're just not, it's just not it. I don't know what's going on over there at Ohio State. Will Howard has not been looking good, particularly this season. So, you know, I think Tennessee's just going to win that. And then Tennessee goes on and plays Oregon. And I think that will be Oregon's like, okay, if Oregon somehow fucks around and beats Tennessee, then you know what? You can just call it what it is. You know, I still say Oregon hasn't got battle tested because they really haven't played anybody outside of like Ohio State and then that Penn State game. But if they can say, well, we beat Ohio State, we beat Penn State in the championship game, and then we go back and then we beat Tennessee, and then hell. But the way the bracket is set up, because Saban called it at the beginning of the year, you think it's going to be Georgia, Texas. He said it for the SEC game. And the way the bracket is put up, it looked like it's going to be Texas, Georgia 3. Quite frankly, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Texas get massacred for a third time. So, but first round, Texas and Clemson. So, if anybody will pull off an upset, I think it could be Clemson because, man, that boy Ewers, just the double agent and just bad quarterback play, bad playmaking management, bad everything in the pocket, poor pocket awareness. Everything about Ewers it just kills me just watching him play. I just be sitting here, I just like, brother, like, what are you doing? Who are you throwing the ball to? There's sometimes where like he'll move the ball and he'll look like a competent quarterback, but then like right on cue, Ewers will come back with a interception thrown straight to a defender, not a Longhorn in sight, and it's like, brother, who is you throwing that ball to? But I have the Sun Devils being one of the dark horses. If Texas goes and they somehow skates by and beat Clemson, they will lose to Arizona State. They're not beating Arizona State. Arizona State is on fire. They are playing some of the best football of their college career. They are the sleeper team in this bracket. And people were saying, you know, if Arizona finds some way to get up in there, they will be a force to be reckoned with. And I think they will beat Texas if Texas somehow doesn't get upset by Clemson. Which then you have honestly, Oregon versus the Sun Devils. I think Oregon would win that game. If they somehow beat Tennessee, then at that point, it's just one of those like, hey, man, this is just our season. There's nothing that y'all can do about it. Y'all can't stop it. We're here, and we're not going anywhere. Dylan Gabriel, a Heisman finalist, had a hell of a season this year. Him and that wide receiving core has been lighting it up. Like, I got to give him that, you know. So if they somehow make it, and then they make it to the Natty, and then that's where it will be Oregon versus Georgia. Hey, it's a toss-up. You know, depending on what happens, depending on who shows up, if Beck shows up or, you know, Beck regresses and turns into the I'm a shit quarterback. I don't know what's going on anymore. then Oregon would be the 2024 champions. But who knows? I can't wait till next month because that's when all that starts. And you know what? It's going to be a hell of a season. This was probably this college season because there's really no clear-cut winner on who was leagues ahead of all the other college teams. This season, everybody was kind of pretty much even, especially 1 through 12. Anybody could have been number 1, number 2, number 3, just depending on who y'all played, how y'all played them. People were falling and rising all over the place. The only real shock that came this season was just Bama just tanking, losing these games. First year without Saban, and it was a pretty ugly one, losing to Vanderbilt, but hey, you win some, you lose some. But then to go out and then lose to Tennessee, to then turn around and then lose to OU. Man, it's been a long time since Bama had a 3-loss season. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. They can retool and see what goes on. Maybe they fire their head coach. I don't know. Maybe Saban maybe a comeback out of retirement and be like, I'm back to save Bama. Who knows? But that's going to do it for the college side. Now we're going to get ready and go into the NFL side. The NFL side is pretty much locked up. We kind of know the teams who are going to the playoffs, but to kick it off, the Rams and the Niners played Thursday, and I've been seeing a lot of Brock Purdy hate. People are blaming Purdy and all this other stuff. Look, man, Purdy's fine. The Niners are dealing with some injuries, but everybody around the league is dealing with injuries, so we don't really want to hear that. But the Rams went down there to the Bay. Matt Stafford gave them Niners a couple of uppercuts. And he told them, we're the big brothers now. Beat up on them. The Niners looking like they're probably going to miss this playoffs this season. I mean, they're below 500. The Rams started off below 500 and just been on a winning streak. We're like, man, damn, these motherfucking Rams just won't go away. We don't know how they do it, but they continue to somehow do it. Matt Stafford is out there playing pretty good. Puka is out there doing, some of the most ungodly things we've seen. Probably top 3 wide receiver because, Jefferson is run, and then that boy Brock Bowers, for a tight end, clearly the best tight end in the league, but hell, you might as well put him as number 2 because, damn, man, that mother, and that's with shit quarterback play. If this man had a competent quarterback, whoo, that man Brock Bowers would be a fucking problem. But yeah, the Niners, they can go into this off season retooling, reshaping, get rid of some of them bad contracts, go ahead and drop off Debo because the regression is there. It's clear as day. He is just not the same player, which is fine. See what y'all can get in the market, start getting some picks and just maybe retool and then just go from there, live to fight another day. We move on to Sunday. And the best quarterback in the league, Joe Burrow, again out there putting on a fucking masterclass. Titans having the second best defense in the league, and Joe Burrow just did not care. Put up 37 on their head, slicing and dicing that defense up. But the defense, who are always criticized and said they can't guard a fucking parked car, picked off Will Levis 3 times, one being a pick 6. It was like it was like an all-around great game for the Bengals, but I don't think this changes anything on how people feel. The Bengals are trying to creep their way up, trying to make that late playoff push, being in the hunt. There's still a couple of games below 500. They would need to win out. One more loss, and they might as well go ahead and forget it. But I think the Bengals could make some noise if they somehow found their way into the playoffs. And that offense being one of the best offenses in the league, it will be a force to be reckoned with. Teams teams will have to stop that, But on the flip side, the Bengals defense can't stop anybody. So that'll just be one curious thing to see. That's the Bengals season playing out is very interesting. But we move on to my team, the Colts. And man, was this one hurting. I'm looking at Richardson and I'm all like, okay, we're 2-1. This man just had a struggle fest against the Patriots, but you know what? He came back, he won the game, 2-point conversion, won the game, whatever the case may be. And we're thinking, okay, you know what? He's turning it around. They get the ball at the beginning of the half. Richardson goes boom, 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 and then runs in for a score. I'm all like, you know what? This is it. This is it. In a game where Bo Nix got picked off 3 times. 3 picks. And the same thing I say about them damn Bengals is the same thing I say about them damn Colts. Them motherfuckers can't stop nobody. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They can't stop a penalty. They can't stop the parked car. They can't stop shit. So the fact that the defense actually showed up and was like, you know what? We're going to do our part today. We're going to make sure we put you in the best position to win. And it's like pick after pick after pick. And I'm just sitting here. I'm all like, damn, man. This is it. This is where we need to be. And Anthony Richardson just goes out there and just completely shits the bed, bro. 2 picks. Pittman a fucking fumble. And it's just like, dude, when you need them the most, when you need them to be an elite team and make plays, like, okay, we're winning. We're trying to get above 500. We're in the hunt. We're trying to make that last second playoff push. Nope. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And at that point, it's just like, you know what? Richardson is back to being the same person he is. Turnover machine. Struggles to move the ball. Struggles to pass the ball. I mean, my God. The Colts offense started out touchdown, field goal. And then after that, punt, 3 and out. Like, I hate this team. Like, I don't know where we go from here. Like, at this point, just blow this shit all the way up. Trade everybody. Richardson needs to get traded too. He is just, they keep calling him the quarterback of the future, but he is just not the quarterback of the future. I just don't see it. This is his 2nd year in the league, and he's still, it's not even a sophomore slump because he never started to get to a slump. He's just been ass since day one. And when he came in, they was like, yo, you know what? We're going to have this dynamic duo thing going on. We're going to have Richardson right here, Taylor right here. And you know what? That RPO combo was maybe could work, but Richardson is not good enough to make it work. And speaking of Taylor, this motherfucker right here, yo, these NFL players and this, oh my God, I'm about to score a touchdown. I can't wait to hurry up and try to fucking showboat. Man, that shit is getting old. This motherfucker drops the ball before he crosses the field, or before he crosses the plane, which resulted in a touchback. Good shit, Taylor. There was 6 points right there that we desperately needed because shit, man. Anytime you put Richardson on the 20-yard line, they kick the ball off for the 30, you already know, punt coming soon. He's not moving that ball down that field. So the fact that you broke off for a 47-yard touchdown and then you just did fucking the most stupidest shit ever, boom. That was the game right there. That sealed the game because once we tell the Colts to play catch up, you might as well go ahead and forget it, brother. It is not happening. So I don't know where this Colts team go from here. Probably to fucking China at this point. Who knows? We move on to Dallas and the Panthers. I mean, it was the Dallas and the Panthers on there on TV having a mid-off. Bryce Young has revitalized his career. I'm happy for Bryce Young. Bryce Young has been looking amazing, especially from where he was. The brother couldn't do 100 yards passing. Brother was throwing picks all over the place. He had no confidence. But now he has that swagger back that he had when he was at Bama. He has his confidence. He's still turning over the ball, but it's the fact that he's running out of the pocket now. He's moving the ball. He's passing. He's looking downfield, scoring touchdown, putting points up because he couldn't do that. And it's looking good for Bryce Young. I'm happy for Bryce Young. I hate to see quarterbacks look like shit. But on the flip side, this team, when Dak was on the field, was looking straight up horrendous. The fucking Cowboys were getting blown out by every team. They couldn't stop the run either. You had Micah imploding, throwing teams under the bus, or throwing teammates under the bus, throwing the coach under the bus, and then Dak gets hurt. Now, granted, they haven't really played a lot of good teams, but the fact that Cooper Rush has came in and actually made this offense look competent is very telling. Y'all just paid Dak all that money, and he had a season-ending injury, but with Cooper out there, it seems like the team is just wanting to fight for Cooper. They keep winning, they're trying to make that late playoff push. Even if they do somehow sneak their way into the playoffs, I don't think Dallas will beat anybody. They are just a bad team right now, So, but again, you never know. One team gets hot, comes in there, maybe pulls an Eli, go in there, go 8-8, and win the Super Bowl. Do I think it'll be Dallas? No, but you know what? It could happen. The Chiefs. The Chiefs played the Browns. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Mahomes did go down with an injury, high sprained ankle. Kind of like how at the end of last season, was the last season, the season before that, I don't remember which one, but he had that high ankle sprain, basically limped into the postseason. Brother needs to start taping up them ankles. But hey, the Chiefs win again, but this time it wasn't through some football god's luck or shenanigans. They actually went out and beat the team, even though it's the Browns, so nobody's moved by that. But they did beat the Browns. Winston benched in like the third or the fourth quarter. I don't remember, but he was horrible, throwing picks all over the place. I find it funny how teams were booing my boy Watson. They're like, oh my God, we finally got Winston back out here. Watson got hurt, and Winston, they went and beat Pittsburgh, which was hilarious. But again, we're right back to bad Cleveland Brown football, turning over the ball, not scoring, not moving the ball, looking like shit, so it's not just a quarterback's problem. It's a whole team's problem. Moving on to Texas and Miami, Miami and their deep ball threat of like Waddle and fucking Hill, I don't know where it went. Like, that shit is non-existent this year. Teams used to fear of like, we got Waddle on one side, Tyreek on one side, and Tua used to just throw that motherfucker up and one of them would just catch it. But this year, it's been completely off. Now, granted, Tua did suffer that concussion at the beginning of the season, kind of sidelined them for 4 games, and that kind of hurt the team chemistry. They were in and out of quarterbacks, but ever since he's been back, the offense hasn't looked as potent as it used to, last year. But, Miami also one of those teams that was looking to be a playoff team, but due to injuries, you're kind of on the outside looking in, and I don't think you will be one of those playoff teams either. And even if Miami snuck their way into it, they wouldn't make no noise either, But hey, it is what it is. Houston, this man Stroud is in one of the nastiest slumps ever. I have not seen one of these slumps in a long time. I didn't think Stroud would go through it. His rookie year, he played phenomenal. And we was just thinking, what? He's just one of those quarterbacks, like, I know the sophomore slump is a real thing, but hell, I didn't think it was going to happen to Stroud. I think he's just going to be one of those quarterbacks that just keeps improving. But this year has been a pretty down year for him. Granted, any year that wasn't like his rookie year would probably be a down year, but he's definitely going through the sophomore slump, but they're still managing to win games. They're 9-5 right now. They beat Miami. coasting by, but Stroud, we're used to Stroud putting up 200-300 yards, barely 130 yesterday. It was one of those, I guess you'd call it a good defensive game, but neither of the offense really could score, so, I mean, hey, Houston will go in because they're in the AFC South and they're just the best team in the AFC South because everybody else in the AFC South is tanking, so, by default, and it'll probably be the same thing next year, just by default, they're just the best team in the AFC South because everything else is just so bad, so shout out to Houston, though. They have a good young team, and hopefully they keep making it. Washington almost let the Saints and their backup quarterback come back and win that game, but they didn't. The start of the year where Jaden Daniels was and the Commanders they was on fire. One of the hottest teams in the league, and then they just dropped 4 straight randomly, and now they're starting to pick it back up. Dan Quinn has got their team back on track. Jaden Daniels still having a phenomenal season. It was looking kind of scary right there at the end, but he's still producing. He's still out there playing good football, so we'll give it to him. I can't wait to the playoffs because I want to see what type of noise they make. They could come in and maybe beat a team in the wild card. I would love to see that. But being the second best team in your division, especially when people didn't think you was gonna be it, it's a sight to see. Moving on to the mid-off, that was the Jets and the Jaguars, 2 non-playoff teams battling out to try to get a good draft pick. Rodgers and Devontae Adams finally found their connection, but I mean, it's a little too late. Y'all motherfuckers are eliminated from the playoffs. The Jets have been one of the worst teams in the league, and it's so crazy because they was always a quarterback away, and they get Rodgers, and then Rodgers gets injured, and then he comes back this season. We're like, yo, we're finally here, and then the Jets defense just falls apart, which used to be a top defense. No longer, that defense looks like a shell of itself these days, and I can't even put it all on the defense because Rodgers looks like a shell of himself. That offense is not really clicking. I don't know what it was. They fired their head coach and brought in a new coach, and the offense is still not moving. And then mid-season, they traded for Devontae, and we thought like, oh man, you know what? Okay, Rodgers and Devontae finally found themselves back together, man. They're finally here. And long and behold, that shit still wasn't working. Still wasn't looking good. I find it funny how Devontae was over there bitching and crying over there at the Raiders, talking about, I want to play some winning football. Got traded to the Jets just to be eliminated from the playoffs and still not play winning football. So I wonder how that's going to pan out during the offseason. How they're going to retool this Jets team and see what happens with Rodgers and them Jets. But yeah, them motherfuckers are horrible. And as far as the Jaguars are concerned, again, another bad team. Mac Jones out there looking like a competent quarterback, but still just complete dog shit. That Jacksonville team, I don't know what happened. Kelly Clarkson was supposed to be the savior, and he just got that contract and went into full regression mode. So, that's tough. The Ravens played the Giants. Look, man, we all love that running back Lamar Jackson. The shit is crazy. The man put up like 5 TDs. Brother was balling out of his fucking mind, but it was against the Giants, so we're not moved, but the Ravens come back after being on a 2-game skid, being some losers. They come back out of the bye and beat up on the Giants, which is good for them. Like, hey, man, we needed an easy team to come out and beat up on, to be like, no, we were just on a little skid, but we're back. But you know what? They're back next week to play the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers, the team who whooped their ass last time. And do I think they're going to beat Pittsburgh? No, I think Pittsburgh is going to dog walk them again because for whatever reason, Lamar and them just cannot beat them motherfuckers, and it is what it is. And speaking of Pittsburgh, the Battle of Philadelphia, that shit was funny. I had so many Pittsburgh Steelers fans talking mad shit all day. Oh my God, we about to pluck feathers. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're going to be eating good tonight. And Philly came out and curb stomped them. Man, it was fucking hilarious. That man, Jalen Hurts, was out there balling. You hear me? Moving the ball, slicing and dicing up that stacked defense that they love to produce. Talking about, oh man, we got one of the best defense in the league. Man, no, you don't. This man, Jalen Hurts, who's mid quarterback, very mid, was out there looking like prime Manning, slicing and dicing that defense up. That shit was fucking wild. And at the beginning, I thought it was going to be one of those good defensive games. We had the Steelers at 3-0. And after that point, Philly just said, you know what, fuck this. We're tired of playing games, and just started dominating Pittsburgh after that. It was never close after that. Philly just completely just ran off. 27-13. And they got hard stuck, couldn't score no more. And it was just a wrap, man. And Philly was like, you know what, we're going to lay it on them. Pittsburgh did clinch a playoff spot. I still think they're one of the weakest division leaders in here. I don't think they're going to make any noise. I think they're going to go in there into the playoffs and still lose first round. There's not nothing that they've done all season to make me believe they will go in there and beat one of the top teams in the AFC. And it also depends on who they match up against. Because if they get a lucky seeding and match up against, like, I don't know, Houston or some shit, I mean, maybe. But then again, it's Russell Wilson, so I don't trust him. Then we had, I would have to say, game of the day, Buffalo and the Lions. Now, after last week, and Josh Allen and his heroics, 3-3 and still lost to the fucking Rams. He's like, you know what? I ain't losing no more. And the game and the score really doesn't showcase it, because 48-42, but at one point it was like 44 to like 20 something. Like, them Bills was just beating the brakes off the Lions. They was always in full control, just dominating the game, but the Lions just would not stay away. That man Dan Campbell had hickory dickory trickery all throughout the fucking game. And the Lions came all the way back fighting. And you know what? Goff out there almost 500 yards, 5 TDs, slinging that motherfucker. Man, that was a game to watch. It was one of those back and forth offensive battles. Nobody was playing defense. Everybody was just all like, yo, let's just get these quick scores and run this score up. But at the end of the day, Josh Allen, who is by far the MVP. He's only the MVP because Burrow's team has a shitty record. But if it wasn't for that, Burrow would be MVP. But you know what? Josh Allen, this is his year. Them Bills is looking phenomenal. Everybody wrote off Josh Allen when they was like, hey, you know what? You ain't got Diggs no more. What are y'all going to do? And he comes back and gets Amari Cooper. And, man, that offense has just been clicking like no other. Again, still the only team to beat the Chiefs. Do I think he can do it in the AFC Championship game when the lights is bright? No, I do not. I think Josh Allen will just choke like he always does, but it doesn't matter, because right now, this motherfucker's playing some amazing football, and he probably will be the MVP at the end of the league, well, at the end of the season. Them Bills, man. Shit, it's probably going to come down to the Bills and the Chiefs. AFC Championship battling it out. And we're rooting for Josh Allen to do it. I want Josh Allen to finally be like, I finally beat you on the grandest stage of them all. But do I think it will happen? No, I do not. And then last but not least, Tampa did beat the Chargers. Beat the brakes off of Justin Herbert. It was crazy. And then we had the mid-off with Carolina and the Patriots. It's two mid-teams. But then Green Bay comes in. Green Bay with the win over Seattle. I love Jordan Love. I always been a fan of Jordan Love. He's a native from the city, but I keep telling people all the time, man, we got love for Love, man. When he first started coming in, When Rodgers was there, Rodgers was hogging all his spotlight and shine. Wouldn't get a motherfucker time to play. And when we did see Jordan Love, he would come in, throw a couple of picks. But I mean, damn, the brother ice cold. He ain't got no rhythm. But man, now that he's gotten his footing under him, Jordan Love has took that Packers team, especially off of last year. You know, when they went to the playoffs, beat the brakes off the fucking Cowboys. And you know, it's like, man, it was one of those Cinderella stories where I thought Jordan Love was gonna be that man. You know, but he just came up a little short. But this season, he's coming back, and he's like, you know what? It's gonna be different, and I'm gonna be ready for you. You know, so I love to see it. I do truly, truly love to see it. But that's gonna wrap this episode up. I can't wait till the NFL playoffs come around. But before that, we're gonna be talking about the college playoffs. You know, I'm a big college fan. I love college. Probably love college more than I love the NFL. You know, because NFL has a whole lot of shenanigans that goes on. Where college is just like pure hoops. You know, you go in there and you see like a lot of these good teams, especially when they play up against another good team. Some of the best football you will see. You know, but that'll do it for me. I'll see y'all next week.